Hello. Welcome to Ecommerce Expert, Money Mindset. War is hell, but it sure is great for Ecommerce. Whether you're fighting over a tiny corner of the world to call your own or just trying to get a package delivered, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict has had implications for the Ecommerce world that have been felt around the globe. First of all, there's been no shortage in the amount of people looking for a way to get their hands, or their bombs, on this territory, which means that there's been no shortage of people looking to buy weapons and supplies online. It's not just weapons and supplies, though. Russians and Ukrainians alike have been buying everything from winter coats to antifreeze on the web in preparation for one of the coldest winters they've ever known. And while they're at it, they're using PayPal to send money back home to their families, and when they can't use PayPal, they're using Western Union. But if there's one thing that's true about history, it's that it's cyclical, just like when Britain was blockading trade with America before World War I, and all those American ships were hanging out off the British coast waiting for instructions. There are now Russian ships just hanging out off the coast of Ukraine waiting for orders. And just like when American businessmen started selling their goods directly to those waiting British ships instead of through Britain, for much higher prices, so too are Ukrainian e-commerce businesses taking advantage of this unique situation by charging even higher prices than they're used to, and getting away with it. There are many more examples to be found throughout history, but suffice it to say, as long as there is war, there will be business opportunities, and this war is no different. And then there are the side effects. People are becoming more aware of how fragile their supply chains are. They're also becoming more aware that their credit card companies might be making deals with Putin behind their backs. If you were to see a headline that said, "Russian hackers take down e-commerce site," you might think it was a joke. But this time, the punchline isn't funny. The war between Russia and Ukraine has had a seriously negative effect on e-commerce, specifically in the way of hacking. Ukraine and Russia have been duking it out for dominance in Eastern Europe for decades, but recently things have escalated. In 2014, Russian President Vladimir Putin occupied Crimea, part of Ukraine. Since then, the two countries have been in a state of war. The conflict has claimed more than 1,300 lives as of June 2019 and displaced 1.5 million people from their homes. Russian troops seized Crimea from Ukraine, and there has been an ongoing war with pro-Russian separatists ever since. Russia's annexation of Crimea was condemned by the UN Security Council. Subsequently, Canada, Australia, Japan, Switzerland, Norway, Albania and Montenegro imposed sanctions on Russia. These sanctions targeted specific individuals in Russian leadership as well as corporations that were owned by those people. For example, President Putin's personal assets were frozen in 2014 under these sanctions. In 2016, economic sanctions were also imposed on Russia by the EU. These sanctions included asset freezes and travel bans against 150 individuals, asset freezes against 37 entities, restrictions on exports of dual-use goods which has led to a massive devaluation of the ruble, which has led to an almost complete shutdown of e-commerce in Russia. The war has affected not only the Ukrainian and Russian economies but also the global economy, through sanctions imposed on Russia by both individual countries and organizations like the European Union, EU. The most recent chapter in this saga is the rise of attacks by pro-Ukrainian hackers against Russian companies, specifically, against their e-commerce sites. These hackers have actually taken down sites like AliExpress, as well as other smaller players. This is bad news not just for e-commerce businesses in Russia and Ukraine, but also for those that rely on trade with either country. It's hard to know how long the war will continue, or what kind of effect Russia's recent elections will have on the situation, but we recommend that any companies doing business with Russia or Ukraine, or anywhere near them, exercise caution when choosing payment gateways and other security tools. As more and more nations take sides in this conflict, the effect on e-commerce is becoming increasingly visible. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and share our videos.